Phew, that was a mission, my friends. But I feel very happy that's done, because now we're going to have the perfect brand new bearing at the top. This malarkey has to be disconnected from here, and then I'm not going to weld it to the bearing. I need to improvise some sort of plate in the corner to match the bearings, but I feel pretty good about it because I know a lot more now than I did when I started, and there's a couple of things I would have done differently. So it's a chance to remedy that. Instead of using the joiners now, I can just set this up properly. I need to buy some more. Actually, these bits should be long enough. That's very good. We can use these bits, and maybe I'll just make it a bit shorter than we planned. Whew. I'd like to think of a way to use these 4 bolts, if at all possible. Now, obviously, as we need to tighten them up down the bottom, I thought the only way I could actually use these, we should have enough room up there to deal with the bearing and stuff. The only way we could use these if we got some custom cut bits of metal tubing that would fit over and would space everything out perfectly, and then obviously they use industrial bolts because it's 16mm, and we could tighten it all down from the top. First job I need to do is separate this from the frame plate, so I've got to cut here and here and then get rid of all this, so it's not as bad as it could be. I'm not going to film it, but it should take about 5 minutes hopefully. So that's the old bearing, which is now going to go at the bottom. Now my friends, that is what I am talking about. They are 16mm bolts, but the thread doesn't go all the way down. So what I'm preposterizing is that if I got some specially cut bits of metal tube, the bolts, including the head, are 10 inches long, so they're absolutely perfect. But obviously they're a super tight fit as well. Let me just get the other bearing. Yeah, now that is what I'm talking about. We have to find a way to make this work, because that's just, even though the bolts aren't in, it's way more solid than the other one was with the bolts in. So we'll see if I get any donations. I might buy some, try and buy some stainless steel M16 threaded bar, but we have to go with that exact size because it's just so perfect. Not going to use M12 or M14, so we need to use M16. Looks a bit like something out of Hellraiser, some magical time clock. Take me back to 1955, my master. Thank you. Okay, so what I decided to do was I kind of put them together and then put it on top of the turbine, and then realised the fundamental problem that this, because I'd welded it on and it wasn't quite level, it wasn't going to work. So I've actually managed to unweld it. I don't know what damage I've done to it, but for the minute it'll probably do a job actually on the bottom, because if it's stiff that isn't a big deal. But what I need to do is just make sure I can get this straight, and then we'll probably be able to reuse this one. Sweet! Listen to this. That is the bottom bearing. Now if it becomes stiff, that's not a problem at all really, because it may be too easy to turn. Like the Chinese wind turbine used to do this thing where it just searched for the wind all the time. It would move one way, catch the wind, lose the wind, and sit there moving round either side of the wind. So anyway, unfortunately that's what we've got to work with at the moment, and I'm not giving up on it just because I've taken it apart. I just realised that it wasn't any good. It wasn't set up correctly in the first place, so sweet. A really low flying plane there. What I've decided to try and do is make some small shims to fit in either side of the bearing, and then just want to get it perfectly level before we start putting it together, back together again. So we're going to end up with something like this. I've used some aluminium sheet as a shim, and that's pretty much how I'm going to want it. I'm not sure what to do about the bolts yet, but I guess I'm just thinking out loud. But it has to use these bolts because it feels so solid. Anyway, bye for now. So I decided to go out and get all the goodies that I need. There's a bag of 50 bolts. They were £16.50 from Screwfix. There's a pack of 50 fairly heavy duty washers. They were £6.50. And these are pretty good. I can't remember how much. These were like £4. Large M16 washers. Because I was going to have to drill a few 16mm holes, and I don't have a 16mm drill bit, so it's just going to be weld these on. And then finally we've got a meter of this, which was actually pretty cheap. It's from Travis Perkins, and it was £7, £6.10 plus VAT, so that's 1 meter. So we need 4 250mm lengths. Then we'll be using 16 bolts in total, 16 washers, and these are just going to be really handy. I can't remember what for at the minute, but yeah, so at the minute, we're not even where we started. There's nothing there, it's all gone. But that will be a lot better. I'll get a chance to paint underneath there as well. So yeah, that's it, I'm afraid. 1 step forward, 10 steps back. But once I get these beauties on, you notice I got the nylock ones. They were actually the only ones I had, but they're a bitch to put on, but they're a lot less likely to come off, aren't they? Sweet, see you soon.